Everyone, remain calm.
Yeah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
Somebody talk to me! What is happening?
Welcome to Jurassic World.
You're listening to the Jurassic Park Podcast.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow? Hold on to your butts.
Well, we're back.
Hello and welcome to the 78th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Jost, and we're here to discuss all things Jurassic Park. In this episode, we've got some really cool news to cover, and we've got a great interview with Michael D. Black, the director of the recent LEGO Jurassic World short, The Indominus Escape. We had a great time chatting about how he brought that world to life, and some of his favorite moments during the production. Last week, I was on two other podcasts, Grim Grinning Hosts and I Know Dino, the Big Dinosaur podcast. On Grim Grinning Hosts, we talked about Jurassic World, the exhibition, Nintendo at Universal, Disney annual passes, and Islands of Adventure's Superhero Island. Their show is a bit explicit, so just a warning in advance. I also recorded with I Know Dino about dinosaur and Jurassic-themed gift ideas for the holidays, and we also talked about Jurassic World, the exhibition. We recorded a crossover episode, so you'll hear them here in a few weeks. I'll put the links to those episodes in our show notes this week, so definitely go subscribe and give them a listen. They're both great shows. Now, this past week was the release of the newest Star Wars film, Rogue One, and I recorded a very long review/analysis podcast with Hunter and Adam from Grim Grinning Hosts. You may be shocked actually to find out, but I can just as easily talk about Star Wars as I can about Jurassic Park, so make sure to go listen to that episode, download it, subscribe, review. It really kind of makes me actually want to start a full-time Star Wars podcast. Anybody interested in that? Anyway, go check out that episode for a great look at Rogue One. Don't forget that there will be a fan meetup at the Franklin Institute for Jurassic World, the exhibition, on January 7th, 2017 at noon. Myself, along with a bunch of other contributors from the podcast and other awesome members from the Jurassic community, will be meeting up at the exhibition in Philadelphia. Pick up your tickets for the noon time slot on January 7th, and we'll tour around the exhibition together. But of course, don't forget we have a special promo code available to listeners of the podcast to use for Jurassic World, the exhibition. Head to fi.edu or call the museum at 215-448-1200 to purchase tickets and use the code JWGENER to get $5 off daytime adult admission tickets to Jurassic World, the exhibition. Limit 4 tickets per person. It includes general admission to the Franklin Institute, and it cannot be combined with any other offer or discount. Upgrades are available on site for IMAX and the 3D theaters, redeemable online, over the phone, or at the ticketing desk. Processing fees apply when ordering tickets in advance. This does exclude holidays, and it is valid through 4/19/17. Again, the promo code is JWGENER. Use it and let us know when you do. For now, let's get this episode started off with a bit of Jurassic news from around the world.
18 minutes and your company catches up on 10 years of research.
Access rate program. Access new security.
These pictures were taken in hospital in Costa Rica 48 hours ago.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look.
Boy, we hate being right all the time.
Today, I guarantee it.
So the big news this week was when we actually got an apparent confirmation by The Hollywood Reporter that Michael Giacchino is returning for the sequel to Jurassic World. Now, it wasn't a quote or anything, but we have to assume this news is correct and not just an assumption from The Hollywood Reporter. In an article about his work on Rogue One, they said, Giacchino took a break to speak with THR between Rogue One and his next geeky gigs, which include Marvel's Spider-Man Homecoming, War of the Planet of the Apes, the next Jurassic Park sequel, and Pixar's Pixar's The Incredibles 2. So that seems to be our confirmation that Giacchino will be back. I, for one, am very excited as the Jurassic World score was pretty incredible to me. I really loved the way he intertwined the new and the old, and also created a ton of memorable new themes. I really appreciate Giacchino's use of the themes throughout the film, which actually expanded upon them even more so than Williams did for Jurassic films. I hope he continues incorporating the original score and even pushes more so to use the Lost World themes. Hopefully we get a proper interview from Mr. Giacchino sometime in the near future to learn more. If you want to read the article from THR, you can find the link within our show notes. Don't miss the new trailer for Jurassic Explorer, an upcoming fan-made game from the same crew that brought you the Jurassic World 3D project. This time it looks to have even more interaction and the ability to explore Isla Nublar like never before. The trailer can be found within our show notes, and it features a voiceover from yours truly. So yeah, even more reason to check it out, obviously. In the coming weeks, we'll have a great interview with Michael Pierce about the upcoming project, so I can't wait to get that one out to you. We'll keep you in the loop about the project, and I'm sure you won't want to miss it.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
The closest you will ever come to living dinosaurs. Jurassic World, the exhibition. Now open at the Franklin Institute. Based on one of the biggest blockbusters in cinema history. Don't miss this awe-inspiring event for the whole family. Only at the Franklin Institute. For tickets, visit fi.edu. And remember, if something chases you, run!
Let's open up the doors to the Visitor Center, where I speak with Michael D. Black, the director of LEGO Jurassic World, the Indominus Escape. This week in the Visitor Center, I'm joined by Michael D. Black, director of the LEGO Jurassic World short film, The Indominus Escape. How you doing, Michael?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to start you off with a question. You know, I've got a ton of questions about this LEGO stuff, but before we get into that, I'm going to ask you one question I ask everybody. So anybody listening probably already knows what's coming. So if you were stuck in a kitchen with a velociraptor, just like in that first Jurassic Park scene, what would you do, and would you make it out alive?
I would imagine I would get eaten pretty quickly. I can't say that I would be as spry as the kids from the film, and so I'd probably be done pretty quick.
You know, I should have made
just an honest answer.
I should have made like a tally mark for all the times I've asked this question to see how many people actually just gave in and said, you know, I think I'm gonna die. It's not gonna work out.
It's the most realistic response, right?
I think so. Yeah. When you get a few of them in there and you're just stuck, I don't know. There's probably no chance. They got lucky.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's get into it, I guess. What's your history actually with the Jurassic Park franchise, from the viewing history, fandom, or your favorite film, or anything like that?
Well, my first exposure was the book.
Yeah, true.
I was I read at a very early age, and I was a very precocious reader, and I want to say I was in 4th or 5th grade when it came out. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking that premise was like the coolest thing I'd ever heard. And so, I convinced my mom to let her get me the book, and I just I tore through it. It was awesome. And so having read the book, I was super excited for the movie. And I'm not even sure if at that point it was known that the movie was being made, or I mean, it probably was, but who knows? But who knows if I knew it anyway?
Yeah.
But at least like knowing, oh, this movie's going to come out. There was some pressure to finish it, I think, towards the end, and I remember having read it and seeing my parents were super cool. They took me to the midnight show when I was in 5th or 6th grade, and it was pretty formative, got to admit.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, something like this is, for the certain age range, it's kind of life-changing for a lot of people. So, I was maybe a few years earlier than you. I was maybe 7 or so when I first saw it. And I know my mom picked up the book first, too. And that's how it was introduced to me. So that book is really vital, I think, to starting you, fresh in this franchise.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was something that, I think really, it got people excited for like DNA and science and not just dinosaurs. There was a lot of other cool, aspects to it, and it was a very exciting book for sure. And it definitely that's where I got my start with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming is, films like this kind of influence you, I would assume. So is that how you basically got your start in directing?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like I
not back when you were 10 or so, but
no, actually, yeah, I think that was the case. Was that I remember as a a little kid, being so into like Star Wars and Spielberg and all those those were my guys growing up, and I think I'd assumed from an early age, I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to be like those guys. And so yeah, I mean, even at 10, I think that was pretty much all I ever wanted to do. There was never any other question for me. And so I moved to LA when I was about 20 and started working at a few different places and kind of worked my way up to this position.
Yeah, something about like all those people, Steven Spielberg and the Star Wars and everything, it really hooks in and sinks in, and I think it's changed a lot of people's lives. So, I could see that. Obviously, it's happened to you, it's happened to me. So it's something that you see across the board with a lot of fans of these types of franchises.
Well, and it's interesting too. Like I think we're kind of just starting to really see, the fruits of that those guys planted so long ago, because this is like there was never a point in my life where Star Wars and E.T. and Close Encounters like didn't exist, and so for me that was just normal, and I grew up with it. And I think there's a lot of filmmakers now, I mean, most notably the Gareth Edwards is directing Rogue One. I mean, that's like, he's like my age, so it's interesting to see like all of these people, and it's kind of coming full circle with Star Wars in particular, but Jurassic World as well.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like you said, there's like rounds of different people that are into these things. So, you got the Star Wars group, and now you're probably going to get on the Jurassic Park bandwagon pretty soon, and you see a lot of people influenced by that in the film industry too.
Definitely.
So, bringing it back even just a little bit, back when you're probably introduced to Jurassic Park, I'm assuming, Lego was probably something that was there for you as a kid. I mean, a lot of us, it's just kind of in your life. So what has Lego kind of meant to you throughout your life?
Yeah, it's really funny. Like, I think, I remember somewhat having access to Lego and it just being more, building, castles and, whatever random things you could make. And certainly wasn't the behemoth that it is today of, all the IPs that it's a part of, and, these, giant sets that, cost outrageous amounts of money that, you have to really, kind of pump the brakes on to not go crazy with.
Yeah.
I just bought a Rogue One set the other day, and it was just,
man.
it was like, what am I going to do?
You can't help it. You got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, to that end, it's something that, I've always totally been into. And, it's funny, like I've been working with Lego for about 8 years now, doing, in various levels. But, I did this feature, direct-to-video, that was like the first Lego feature called Clutch Powers in 2008. And that kind of like, rekindled my excitement for the toy. And so I've been, working with Lego and then also getting, into the toys as well. And so I'd say it definitely came back with a vengeance since 2008.
Yeah, and I guess you're hanging around there doing some work with them, and they're just like, hey, we got this little property, called Jurassic World. Would you want anything to do with that?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, they, since we have the studio I work for, we have a good relationship with them, and so, we're constantly trying to get more stuff to do with them, and it's always fun to work with them because they get their jobs are to work with Lego, so
yeah,
it's always a blast to work with those guys, and the working within I guess the medium, for lack of a better word, is it just lends itself to so much fun and humor, and it's very easy to have a good time making these things.
Yeah, you can tell when you're watching this, specifically, at least for this Jurassic World short, you can tell how much fun it must be, and all the quips and the funny little moments throughout the short. It seems like a blast for you guys to make it, at least.
Oh yeah, constantly, and it's fun because you're always just throwing out new ideas, and they're always game to to kind of bounce ideas back and forth and come up with new stuff as we go along. And it's just like whatever is making us laugh, is usually what ends up in there.
Yeah, I would assume, if you're, you said you picked up these books initially and you've watched the movies. So does it make it tough kind of going in to something like this? Do you have any kind of trepidation putting your thoughts into the franchise?
No, because I think, it comes from a place of love no matter what. So, it's not like there's no we're not being mean and making fun of it. It's all about celebrating it and just putting it into this medium that makes it silly and light and fun, and it's nice because it's especially for this, like Jurassic World is a little bit like younger kids, it's probably a little bit out of their reach because it's a little over the top. And I mean, for example, when we were recording Bryce Dallas Howard for Jurassic World, she was thrilled that she was going to have something that her kid could see that she got to do. Because she's like, he's a little young for Jurassic World, and he might, freak out at mom running away from dinosaurs. And so, it's nice that it's something that you can like introduce, younger kids to and kind of get them excited for it without having to, wait for them to be old enough to see the, PG-13 movies.
Yeah, that does have to be tough to have a family like that and be able to you want to show them the stuff that you work on, but then, Jurassic World is kind of brutal at times. But yeah, when you turn it over to Lego and you're like, all right, we got to make this a little bit more fun for everybody. And it appeals to kids and it appeals to adults. So I think that's a really great balance there. Yeah,
it's nice. I've been getting good reviews from all ages.
So I have no clue. I know what kind of goes into directing a film or videos or anything like that. I have no idea what it takes to direct a Lego film. Could you just explain that process a little bit?
I mean, so much of it's interesting because I think Jurassic World, it wasn't promoting a specific toy line. Like there were toys that were out, but they came out with the movie. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't like, we were trying to get out there like Ninjago does, where it's like, Ninjago, the series is kind of built around whatever toys come out that time of year. And, there's a little bit more of an angle to it. And I think this one was fun because it wasn't like we were under any sort of pressure to sort of feature anything. And so it was really, just all about the story and being able to kind of adapt that to the Lego world. But yeah, I mean, as far as the process goes, it's pretty standard. I mean, we, you know, it was a little bit more detailed storyboarding than most, you know, movies, you know, but, you know, we really time it out in the animatic and get it as close to where we want it. And then, you know, take that, break it down into cameras and edit it, you know, animate it one shot at a time.
It seems like it would be, you know, a lot more difficult, honestly, than a live action. Is that true, or is it just like somehow easier because it's all contained?
I mean, it's its own. It's its own thing, you know. Like yeah. I definitely, you know, I've worked on a few live action things, and it's not for me.
No.
You know, the 16-hour day is, you know, outside on your feet in the sun or wherever, you know, it's just it's exhausting, you know, and that was actually why, like, I had initially, you know, kind of veered into editing more, because I liked, you know, sort of sitting with something and crafting it together and not having to be outside. And you know, I mean, there's certainly long days, but you know, it's a little bit more regulated and contained. And then once I got into animation, it was like, oh, I can still, you know, direct and still sort of be in this world of, you know, just kind of interacting with it directly, and not really having as like a big crew and, you know, all these people waiting for you to make a decision. It's a little bit more of a process unto yourself, you know. Mm-hmm. Which is, you know, it's cool. It's different for sure, but I definitely prefer it to you know, being out in the sun all day.
Yeah, I guess it has its advantages there, so that's good. You know, this thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I first turned this on, you know, a lot of things stood out to me, the comedy, the acting and everything. But one of the things mostly is how beautiful this thing looks. And when you start off, you know, flying through in this helicopter and you see all the different landscapes and how luscious the backgrounds are. But the thing is, it's filled with Lego pieces. So it's a really, really cool balance that I find there. Is there something like an established, you know, library of Lego pieces that you use? How does that process come into play?
Oh yeah. That's a big part of it is, you know, I think that's, you know, it's part of the aesthetic for sure. And it's part of, you know, what makes it, you know, a Lego show. Mm-hmm. Is that, you know, you have those pieces and what's interesting is that it limits you in a way, but it also kind of fuels your creativity, because you have to be like, oh, well, how would we turn this set, you know, like from the film into a set that works in Lego? And there's a lot of, you know, you can only make pieces so small, you know, the reducible size is a 1x1 brick, and mm-hmm. you know, you can't go any smaller than that. So, you know, your sort of fine details have to be, you know, a little bit more creative with how you do it. And it's kind of the fun thing about it too, is going like, well, you know, how do we recreate this shape or this, you know, this something of this scale while still using these bricks? And there's this amazing program called LeoCAD, which is basically a Lego CAD program, and it has every brick that has ever existed.
Wow.
To an almost absurd degree that sometimes it's like it's as hard as like digging through a bucket of bricks to find the right one.
Man, I'm sure.
You're kind of skimming through this thing, and sometimes you'll go, oh, like maybe this is what it's called, and then you kind of type it in, you're like, oh no, that's not it. And then after you use it for a while, you find out like, oh, you kind of learn the names and the lingo, and you get a better understanding of how, you know, the terminology works. But it makes it a lot easier to, you know, like you're basically just building something out of Lego with these like virtually. And so that's how we build everything. And, you know, our prop designer and, model maker. He and I would just kind of go over these sets, and I'd be like, okay, I think, I'll look for some pieces, and then I would, send him names of things. And I was like, I think this will work for this thing. And so it was kind of an interesting, like, virtual Lego building session. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's what makes it Lego,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not
only has to have those pieces.
Yeah, not only are you designing or directing a film, but you're also, designing, I guess, your own Lego pieces and your own Lego, little figures and things here and there. So it's really funny to see all that put together in one single environment that does look so realistic at times, but also has these pieces there. It's really, really awesome to hear how this comes together.
Yeah, it's an interesting process, and it's something that sort of gets easier over time, and but then you discover new challenges, and it's like basically starting over from scratch almost every time too.
I could see it being pretty fun, to build this stuff, to figure out what goes where and to build the models, but also at the same time, like you said, it is kind of like, digging through a giant container of these Legos, like needle in a haystack, trying to find stuff at times.
Yeah, if there's like one thing and you're like, I know that this is what I need, and then it's just like if you had the toys in front of you.
I guess so. For the production of this, how much hands-on do you have when it comes to the voice acting in particular? You mentioned Bryce and her being happy about having something her kid can see. So what is it about the voice acting that you have a hand on?
Well, it's one of the things I really love doing, and I like, usually like when I read the script, I kind of get a bunch of different ideas for like alternate lines or different ways to read it, and so I come to the voiceover sessions kind of knowing exactly what I want, but also really knowing what how to get new and cool things from the voice talent, and so I really love directing the voiceover, and Bryce was amazing. She was so good. It was so natural for her, and it was so fun for her because she was like, I always wanted to do this, and I never get to do this. So she had a blast. We have our usual rogues gallery of voiceover people that we use as well. But I mean, you saw we try to get as many people from the film as we could, and so it was fun working with them to kind of go, hey, just because we're doing this thing, we'd love to have you do it, and they were as many of them as were game we could get. So we got BD Wong and Jake Johnson and all them, and so it was a lot of fun. It's just I like doing that part a lot.
Yeah, it must have been really cool to bring, back some of the Jurassic World live action actors. When I saw their names pop up on the credits, I'm like, some of them actually you can tell right away, and some you couldn't. So when I saw the credits at the end, I'm like, oh wow, that's awesome. You got those guys back, and her and him, and even before we saw this, we're debating in the trailers like whose voice is that?
I listened to that. It was so funny how like you guys kept going back and forth, like, no, it's her, and then no, it's definitely her, and it was funny because like, I mean, when I listened to it, I was like, I think it just sounds like her just cranked up, like, yeah. Did you see her Black Mirror episode?
I haven't gotten a chance to yet.
It's really funny because like her attitude in that kind of reminded me of like when we interacted with her, 'cause she is so like bubbly and happy and friendly, and so her laugh was very infectious, because she was just having such a great time. But yeah, doing the voices is a lot of fun, especially when they tell you stories from the production.
Yeah, that's got to be awesome to interact with them and have them in a new circumstance. And I'm sure it's probably short-lived because, a lot of them are pretty busy. And, I don't know really how long it takes to do all that. But, some of I think Jake Johnson and Lauren Lapkus and maybe even B.D. Wong had really short roles in this. So it's interesting to see them come back as well.
Yeah. Jake Johnson's was particularly interesting because he was he was filming his show at the time, and he only had like a 20-minute break or a 20-minute window. And so me and the sound engineer had to like set up a laptop in an office on the Fox lot and just wait for him, and then wait for that window. And then he came in, and I think he has like 2-3 lines. Like,
yeah, it's something short.
It was so quick, and he was like, "All right, are we done?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't need anything else." And so it was like he was just in, he said it, and he left, and it always reminds me of The Simpsons with Krusty the Clown when he comes in and he like reads his lines off the card and he leaves, and then the camera pans over and the guy's like setting up to record, and he's like, "Oh, Krusty." Like he did it so quick, but it really very much felt like that.
Yeah. Oh God, that's great. I'm sure it was a pleasure to work with all those people. I think one of the ones that I was mostly shocked about was it looks like we see Zachary Levi in there, and I assume it's the Zachary Levi from Chuck and Thor. Is that correct?
Yeah. He's sort of like a friend of the studio, and when we needed a funny voice for the hot dog guy, he was kind of our first choice. So he was in New York at the time, and so I had to direct him over the phone, which was a little difficult because there's a lot of screaming and yelling and running around and stuff. And he was doing a show on Broadway, and we heard
I think I saw that show.
Oh yeah. He was right before we recorded. They said he can't do any screaming, and I was like, "There's nothing but screaming."
Oh no!
Thing, and so we basically just limited it to as few takes as we could. But he was a total sport, and I don't think his Broadway show suffered for it, but
no,
it was pretty funny to get that note beforehand and be like, oh no, how are we gonna do this? But he was great. He was one of those guys where there was so little direction to give because he was doing so well. Like each time he would read a line and be like, that's perfect. I don't really need much else. And then and I don't think we ever had to go back to him for ADR or anything because he nailed it.
Yeah,
but,
he's a pro. I mean, he's got Tangled under his belt, so he's probably used to this situation.
Totally, and he was hilarious.
Oh, he is awesome. I loved him in everything he's been in so far. Chuck was like one of my favorite shows back when that was on, and like I said, I went to see him on Broadway, so he's got a great singing voice as well. So he seems like an awesome dude. So it's awesome to see him, get involved here in the Jurassic franchise as well. It's not somebody I would have expected to see.
Yeah, no, I was really glad that he was able to do it.
So I guess for the reoccurring characters from the film, some of the attributes of these characters are a little bit different than they are in the film. So how do you balance that, correctly to get them to seem more Lego in this versus their live action counterparts?
Oh, it's all about turning it up to 11. Like it just has to be the most, ridiculous form of whatever is trying to be done in the movie. Like, I tried to make Owen as, unflappable and, over the top as possible. I think, what's his name? Hoskins.
Oh, yeah.
It was, that one was easy. It's just like making him like this crazy, shell-shocked guy. Because, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio plays that part so big in the movie. It's almost like how do you even top that?
Yeah.
He's so crazy in the movie. and so it's just a matter of making it as big and ridiculous as possible. And I think we got Fred Tatasciore to do Hoskins, and he was like, I got it, I totally get what you're doing, and so it was very easy once we kind of figured out, like, it's just he's totally, like, he's been in the jungle too long.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like lost his mind, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so he was one of the more fun characters to play with, because you were able to kind of take him to such an extreme, because you were already starting at such an extreme.
Yeah, I think that character cracked me up probably the most out of all of them. He must have been just the most fun to produce, from the introduction of him just, scouring through the jungle looking for basically anything to shoot. And he comes upon the hot dog man, pre-hot dog costume and everything. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, he's such a, I don't know. It was such a strange. Like, I remember just reading it the first time and being like, "This is a weird place to take this guy," but I liked it.
No, it's a good call, because, like you said, he is so over the top. He's basically like almost kind of like mustache twirling villainous kind of guy in Jurassic World. So you got to go somewhere from there.
Yeah, and that's what makes it, so great. Is that you add that sort of craziness onto a Lego character, and just it's immediately silly and funny.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite scene or moment from this short in particular?
The part that I still laugh at is when the little dinosaur with the big T-Rex head.
Oh yeah.
When it like flops its head into the dish and it's licking up the water and its little tail wags.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I was so happy. I think that might have been the first pass of animation on it too, and it was just like changed nothing. It's perfect. It was so funny, and I think part of it is like the sound and how how much it disturbs Owen, and all of those things I think come together perfectly in that one moment. And it's the part that even if I'm showing it to a friend or something, it still makes me laugh.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, because just as a whole, that whole scene, from the Dilophosaurus with like the crazy, backwards body and everything, and it's so funny that those messed up hybrids.
And also, have you seen the short that's on the DVD?
I haven't yet. I'm kind of waiting around for Christmas. Hopefully I get that on my list here.
You should, definitely check that out, because there's a lot of stuff in that one that I really like, because I feel like that one was very fun, because it was it was a little more it was removed from the film. We weren't as beholden to the storyline,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just sort of like it felt very Looney Tunes to me, and or like Tiny Toons specifically.
Oh, yeah.
How like in Tiny Toons they were always kind of like mocking Hollywood and
Mm-hmm.
and making these references to like movies from the 40s, but it was like playing to this audience of kids that had no idea,
no clue.
And I feel like that was like how I was first exposed to like Casablanca, was them making fun of it on Tiny Toons and stuff. So when I was making it, it was like, I was kind of like bringing up like that sensibility a lot more, or even like Animaniacs kind of had that too. There was a lot of like old Hollywood, and so there's a little bit of that in the short that I really enjoy a lot.
So I guess since we're talking about some of the more ridiculous moments, we finally figured out what is like the catalyst for the Indominus Rex. So I've been wondering this whole time, how did hot dogs have such a huge role in this Lego short? It's so funny, from the hot dog man to the hot dog trail and everything. It's great.
I wish I knew. I think that was in the script when it came to me. And I remember thinking the same thing. It was like, what is going on here? And but it's funny, and so like I didn't really question it that much. I think maybe part of it had to do with the fact that there was that Hot Dog Man Lego minifigure already.
Okay.
And somebody was just like, I want to do something with that.
Just build, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there's even more hot dog stuff in the short as well. So
it's so funny, yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, saying hot dog is funny. So you kind of can't lose.
Yeah, I love it because it's like that. It's like the the secret pill that made the thing change its skin a little bit, and then it's chasing down the hot dog man, and it's just the perfect humor, I guess, for this type of film.
And it's nice that it actually ties into the story very well, and it's not just a point of humor. It has impact on the characters and the events of the story, which makes it that much more fun, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, because the 4 Jurassic films that we have are very serious in tone. There's not a ton of comedy. There is a little bit here and there, but it's got to be tough, I guess, to build a comical short based off such serious messages.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think that anything that takes itself seriously, it's easy to take a little bit of take a little bit of the pressure off of it, and it makes it. It's not like, I would say, something that's like rife for parody, but it's nice that when it's something that you're familiar with and you enjoy, you can always poke humor at anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it a lot even in the games specifically. Like, a lot of the games tend to follow the entire storyline, like of all movies, whether it's Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones or Star Wars, and they really do poke fun at all those different attributes that could be serious in a live action film, and really take it to the next level, like you said.
Yeah, but what's really fun about the games, and I never played the Jurassic Park one. I watched some of the videos a little bit, but I think they do such a great job of like still honoring the action of the movies so well, and that's one of the fun things about those games, is that the action is always like top notch, and they really honor the style of the films and the feeling from the films. And I think I was watching like some of it on YouTube. Some people put just full playthroughs of it, and like the scene where the kids are in the back of the truck and the dinosaurs are chasing them, and from Jurassic World, and how that just got extended into this like massive level. It's really cool how they're able to like take those moments that in the movie are maybe 2 minutes or something, and they expand it into this big thing, and that's what's really fun about those games, I think.
Yeah, I guess without going into spoilers too much for people who haven't seen the short, kind of like you're talking about expanding and building off of that, the source material for Jurassic World is obviously, like we've been talking about, so different than the Indominus Escape short. So I guess how do you decide your own direction when it comes to this kind of process or project? Do you... because you definitely do things a lot differently. The outcomes are different. The characters are different at times. So how does that source material, I guess, affect the development of this project?
I mean, it does and it doesn't. I mean, you try not to be too beholden to it, because then otherwise, what's the point? I think if you take, the seed of what makes it fun, what makes it, entertaining, you can turn that on its head and just make it work for a much shorter story. You really have to pare it down to its most basic elements, but then also it has to work for the humor as well. And so it's I think it's just a matter of paring it down to its most basic element, and then using that structure to have jokes and fun action, and still honor it without being slavishly beholden to the source material.
Yeah, you can tell, when you describe it that way, that you're just taking it at its most basic element, because that's really what happened in Jurassic World. They had, they needed to make a hybrid. The hybrid broke out, and they fixed the situation at the end. Maybe it came about a little bit differently, and less hot dogs were involved in the movie, but it's essentially the same thing. So,
well, and like my rule of thumb for any of these, and for any that I work on in the future, for sure, is, like, I like to imagine it's like a little kid who's seen the movie, he has the toys, and he's retelling the story, but maybe he gets some details wrong, or maybe he has a figure from another set that, he wants to add to the mix, or, like it kind of takes the pressure off when you kind of go, oh, like, if that's the limit of what the rules are, then anything goes, as long as you're kind of still within that structure of, like, you're aware of the story, if that makes sense.
Oh, perfectly, because that's just the way it is. There's no other way to explain it. When you're young, you're playing with, whether it's a Lego toy or something else, you're playing with multiple sets of different things, and using everything around you to kind of create your own world.
Right. So, you have your Owen figure and your, Claire figure, and you have a hot dog man. You got to figure out how they they interact,
Exactly. I guess, did you have input, during the writing process then?
Yeah, a bit. I think I had done kind of a quick pass and changed a few lines here and there, or added a line. That whole Lowry and Vivian scene, originally, I think only Lowry had the line, "You got it." It was just them in the computer room. Claire comes in and starts talking, and she says, "You got it." And I was like, we have to give these guys some lines.
Yeah.
Because they were so funny in the movie. And so I wanted to give them like a weird little non sequitur, and like have it kind of play off that unrequited love thing from the film, which was my favorite part of the film, and just kind of honor that, rather than just have them be like these kind of cameos that you don't really honor their role in the films at all. And so I came up with that little bit about the spicy versus I forget what it was. One's more spicy and the other one uses more herbal ingredients, and her just kind of going, oh, whatever, And
it's perfect.
It just needed to be like something that you needed no context for it. It just needed to be like a total non sequitur. And so they let me put that in, which was great. And then I think the other one that I had changed was when Wu was talking about DNA, and he originally said the building blocks of life, and I said it should be building bricks because it's Lego. And so little things like that, I'm able to kind of go, I think this would be more funny if we did this thing. And the executive producer was game, I would say 9 times out of 10.
Nice.
So
I guess when you bring it all the way to the top, Colin Trevorrow, directed Jurassic World, and he's basically re-envisioning this franchise. So did he have any kind of input on this project?
I know that he was at least, privy to it, and they were sending him, cuts as we were going. And for the most part, we would just kind of get the thumbs up from Universal, and we would just keep moving forward. And so I'm assuming that, he at least never had a problem with anything. Mm-hmm. There was one note that we got where he had us, change a read on a couple lines. And so we had, some ADR at one point, but that was really it. Everything else, I'm assuming that he just loved it. So
that's what you got to do.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. Let's not assume it was anything less than total total entertainment.
Yeah, he's enamored with you right now. He loves it.
Yeah. I'm sure he's stalking me on Twitter right now.
So this Lego brand, it appeals to people of all ages, and like we've been talking about, it does kind of appeal to everybody. But with the Indominus Escape, who specifically are you looking to, I guess, market this towards?
Well, I mean, I guess like the first person I'm trying to entertain is myself, because if I'm not liking it, then I'm not going to be able to make it something that I enjoy and am proud of. So I definitely come at it with that approach, and I think if you're doing something that you're proud of and happy with, other people will hopefully find it that way too. I mean, that said, you still have to sort of keep in mind that it's for kids. I can't put in any horror movie references or anything. But I think it's very easy to sort of, if you start going, well, what are these people going to think? What are those people going to think? I think that you second guess yourself and you compromise the quality of what you're trying to do. So I think that if you build it, they will come, in a way.
Yeah.
And I think what's nice is that this is something that does appeal to all ages, because it can appeal to little kids that have no context and have never seen Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, any of the movies, and then can just kind of jump in and enjoy it, and then people that have seen all of them and are hardcore fans, and they get all the jokes and all that. But I mean, kind of to the same point as Tiny Toons and Animaniacs was, I mean, they were making references to things left and right that people hadn't thought about for 20 years, let alone really been that influenced by. And I think they were just making themselves laugh. And so I think if you make yourself laugh, somebody else is going to enjoy it.
Yeah, you can't just specifically, aim for a certain demographic nowadays. You kind of have to hit all the marks and bring in a wider audience, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. I mean, it's definitely trying to get that, what was it, 4 quad movie out there, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I'm certainly a fan of movies that are not 4 quadrant films, but I also, I go see every Marvel movie, and I'm counting the hours till Star Wars. So it's there's a reason that those movies have broad appeal.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that stood out specifically to me, I'm a big fan of the music of these films, all 4 of them. Now, we do hear Michael Giacchino's music here, on display. Is it? And it is different actually than it appears in the movie. So I thought that was really interesting, the way you use the music here versus how they use it in the movie. Is it really awesome to just have this score, at your disposal for this Lego short?
Oh man, I don't know how we could have done it if we didn't have that specific score. I mean, that said, my composers, the Worst Brothers, I've been working with for 8 years now, and they're fantastic, and they really did a lot of work on this. Like I had edited the Michael Giacchino score into the animatic, and we'd cut to it the whole time, and but there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, we have to cut this one short, or go from one thing to the next, and it was very unnatural, because maybe, I mean, I think our animatic was probably closer to like 28 minutes, and I think the final thing got down to like 24, and so that's a lot of tightening and a lot of moving a shot out here and there, and that throws off your music timing. So you'll have something that personally, like my process, I try to not put in music until the last possible second, because I don't want to try to cut to music. I want the music to kind of fall in with what's been cut.
Okay.
And so, like a lot of times, like there was, I'm trying to remember which piece it was. It might have been the part where they're chasing the Indominus. I just remember like working on that for a while and dropping the music in, and it worked like perfectly. And it was just like, oh, I'm so glad, But then you start tightening it up, and then you cut like a few bars out here and there, and suddenly things are kind of skipping. And so they were able to go back and kind of massage it out and bring in some transitions. But I mean, you can't not have that score in there. I think it really made the movie what it was.
Yeah, I agree. It's becoming iconic, I think, to the fans. And it's, maybe it's not to the level of John Williams just yet for everybody, but I think it is up there. And personally, it's one of these things, like once I downloaded that initially, I probably didn't stop listening to it for like a few months. It's really awesome stuff. And I love like listening to scores. So it was perfect for me.
Well, and what's really funny is I think I was so familiar with the score that I had kind of divorced it from the film, and so when I started cutting with the score, I got so familiar with like how the music worked with the Lego piece and everything, and now if Jurassic World is on TV and I watch some of it, I'm like, oh, this music,
it's wrong.
It doesn't feel right here, Like,
wow, that's awesome.
It really like throws me off.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I do a lot of editing and stuff like that too, and I put music to it, and yeah, you definitely have memories of that moment and how it was edited and what you put together versus the way maybe it was in the source material. So I fully get that. That's awesome. And yeah, I love the way it was used. I thought it was really interesting. It did sound like there was a few other cues and different things in there, right?
Yeah. The Worst brothers,
yeah.
They dropped in a few cues, and they scored almost the entire short, because that needed some light, more humorous music, which is somewhat lacking in the Jurassic World score. But they're perfect for that kind of stuff, and it worked out very, very well, and they definitely made it like 10 times better than if it had just been the score. It wouldn't have really felt right, and they smoothed all of that over.
Nice. So once this is all done, you've directed it, you've edited stuff. Do you actually, or I guess how much input do you have on that final product after it gets passed around through to all the upper management?
I mean I work on it all the way to the end. It's really I think it's not common, I think, in the animation world, that you kind of work on every aspect. Like I mean, I cut the animatic and direct the voiceover and direct the animation, and I think a lot of times that's like 3 or 4 different jobs, and usually like whoever's cut the animatic has already moved on to another animatic, and I really enjoy and I take pride in following through with the whole thing. It feels that much more personal to me. But yeah, I was there in color correction and final sound mix, and just I wouldn't have it any other way.
So I'm kind of winding down here with my questions, and I wanted to touch on one last thing before we go. And this is at the end of the short. We get a glimpse at the final hybrid Indominus Rex. So I was wondering, since it seemed like a cliffhanger, do you think there's any chance that the Jurassic World Lego world will be brought to life again in the future?
I wish I knew. I'd love to get to do another one. I think this one was a lot of fun. I mean, I guess we'll have to sort of gauge what the response was to this one, and then what the response is to the next film, and we'll go from there, because we'll have to at least have something to sort of mimic before we can move forward, I think. But yeah, I'd love to do another one, and I guess who knows what the story would be, but hopefully we'll figure out a way to bring Hot Dog Man in there.
Oh yeah, you can't leave him on the cutting room floor. You got to bring him back if that's the case.
Maybe he'll be running Jurassic World.
Yeah, all right. I think we should just iron out the story right here, right? I mean, it's Hot Dog Man's story. That's the sequel.
He takes over. He stages a coup, and he starts running Jurassic World. I mean, that's where you start, or that could be the story. Is Hot Dog Man taking over.
I fully expect to see this in the next live action film. So I'm recording this, so it's all out there for everybody to hear.
Right. Yeah. Now the Lego movie will be influencing the next film,
yes.
and I like it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, I guess, for coming on here and taking the time to talk about this. I want to direct people to find you or find your work. So where can they find you at?
The biggest thing available right now is this. I've done some other Lego projects in the past. The Lego Star Wars Empire Strikes Out I did a few years ago, and I guess just keep an eye out. It looks like we'll have a few more things coming out in the future.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully in the future we get to talk to you again here.
Yeah, I hope we get to do a Jurassic World 2 Lego version.
Definitely. We'll talk to you then.
All right, sounds good.
Make sure to visit JurassicParkPodcast.com to find all our past episodes, brand new news articles, information on how to contact us, and much more. It's a great source for everything related to the podcast, and of course, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Head to JurassicParkPodcast.com and help us build a great community.
Anybody hear that?
Thanks for listening to the 78th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. A huge thanks to director Michael D. Black. I really enjoyed talking to him about creating that LEGO Jurassic short film. The process is something that really interests me, so it's cool to hear the details that went into making it. Hopefully we'll talk to him again soon and learn more about his upcoming projects. Please don't forget to listen to Grim Grinning Host episode last week and the Rogue One analysis this week, and also the I Know Dino episode from last week. All three were a blast to record, so go check them out. Don't forget about the promo code we are running with the Franklin Institute for Jurassic World the exhibition. Enter the code JWGENER for $5 off daytime adult admission tickets. Head to our website for a direct link and more information on the promo code. Don't forget to share the code with your family and friends. Tell them where you got it and let us know when you use it. If you want to interact with us, we do most of our work over on Twitter at Jurassic Park Pod. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Jurassic Park Podcast, and our Instagram handle is at Jurassic Park Podcast. You can listen to us via iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Podomatic, YouTube, our website, or wherever else podcasts are found. So make sure to subscribe to automatically get new episodes every week. If you haven't already, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes or a great review wherever you listen to the podcast. It will seriously help out our rankings and make it easier for fans like you to find us. Don't forget to check out JurassicParkPodcast.com for all the links you heard here today. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us with any news stories, MP3s, comments, or if you want to debut a segment of your own, send them to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com, or you can submit questions directly on our website contact form. If you'd like to record something for the show, send it in to us and we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. If you don't have any way to record, you can give our voicemail line a call and leave us a message. That number is 732-825-7763. Thanks for listening and enjoy.